Hello everyone, this is Joseph from Respawning. Welcome to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. And after the recent events where the rare kit was revealed and people have started to panic farm the veterans, I wanted to kind of break down the whole way that people look at legendary events in general. Because a lot of people start to panic farm, they're not sure which events they should do first, they do things out of order, they start to panic because they need to pay money to get these characters. They want to get them the first time. Well, I'm here to tell you, you don't need them the first time. And I'm going to help you stay on focus with this tier list. This will break down the events in the game, the ones you should be doing first, the ones that you should be working towards, and what will help you work towards most of them in the most efficient way, as well as getting everything that you can possibly get out of the game in terms of progression, becoming the top of the arena, stuff like that. So let's start with Tier 3. Tier 3 involves Emperor Palpatine and Grandmaster Yoda. Now we will be focusing on Emperor Palpatine because Palpatine is actually a good character and will be very vital to us progressing through this tier list. I'm not saying that you can't work towards Grandmaster Yoda, I'm just trying to say that if you go down the Palpatine route, you're actually going to progress in the game. Yoda does not help you in the long run with any of the other events. Jedi are not needed anywhere for these events, so which is kind of a shame. A Jedi event would be nice, but Palpatine is going to be our main source as he is an Empire tune. So let's have a look at the next tier. Tier 2 involves the R2-D2, BB-8 and Grand Admiral Thrawn events. Now these two on the far sides, the two droids are a branch point, which we'll cover later on. And Thrawn is an excellent character in his own right, but the reason he's not tier 1 is because the tier 1 characters are ones that require like a lot of progression and are kind of considered as the top characters in the game for their own reasons. But Thrawn does in fact progress towards other events like Chimera, so I'm not saying that because he's in tier 2 he's not as good as the tier 1 characters, it's just the amount of work that goes into him. Thrawn is actually an amazing character. But tier 1 is Commander Luke Skywalker and Jedi Rey. Jedi Training Rey even. I know that the kit for Rey is not as insane as Commander Luke Skywalker, but both of these characters are really high-end, characters. They have a hero's journey. Commander Luke is meta-defining. Every team runs him. He will make or break how you progress. Jedi Rey is still amazing in her own respect, that she'll support a resistance team, but unlike Commander Luke, you cannot just throw in any random squad and just win. There is a thought of strategy to how you use her, if you replace her as Fane as a leader, stuff like that. But I will be focusing on a path that leads you towards Commander Luke, as Commander Luke is the more respectful and easier character to grind for a newer person to the game. You don't want to be spending hundreds of dollars just to get towards Rey. But like I said, let's start at the bottom and work our way here. So, Palpatine. Palpatine progresses you towards R2-D2. And Grand Admiral Thrawn can also progress towards R2-D2. Now both these events can be beaten with a single squad. The Phoenix squad, as they are both Phoenix and Rebels. The requirements for Thrawn is that you have Phoenix. The requirements for Palpatine is that you just have Rebels, and these are both of those. So by using a very easy team that you can acquire immediately from starting the game, you've already got a tier 3 character that progresses towards tier 2, and one of the best characters in the game who is also tier 2. So just with these simple farms, you're already progressing yourself really far, which is why I always recommend these guys are the ones for new players. I have a video detailing why they're so amazing as well. So already you've got that amazing character and you've got Palpatine, but that leads us to our next point, which is the branch, because now you've got Palpatine and maybe Thrawn. You've met two requirements for R2-D2, who needs Empire characters, and Thrawn is an Empire, Palpatine's an Empire, and there are lots of other options to get him. So R2-D2 can be completed pretty easily, and he's a character that has appeared multiple times throughout the year ever since he was introduced in April, so it's a much easier grind and a much easier farm. On the opposite side of the droid spectrum is BB-8, who requires the First Order. Now these are a ball ache to actually grind compared to the Empire. You've got characters like First Order TIE Pilot and First Order Stormtrooper who are insane. You know, there's a bit of leeway for the pilot because he's in the shipments, but he's not always going to be there. And Stormtrooper is a hard node grind, which is painful. And the opposite, which like I said before, R2 Empire characters don't really need a lot of effort. If you've already got Palpatine and maybe Thrawn, that's great. You've maybe got Darth Vader as well for achievements, which is also awesome. You know, Darth Vader's not a crazy character, but he does fit this requirement, which is great. And there are a lot of different tunes out there, especially now with the Dark Side territory battle, that you can just choose to invest in. Some that are a lot easier, like Grand Admiral Tarkin. Grand Moff Tarkin, that's what he is. Grand Moff Tarkin, who's in the squad arena. And you've got TIE Pilot, who's in fleet shipments. People are scattered around the game, including Stormtrooper and Cantina shipments, and Magma Trooper and Galactic War. So there's a lot of easy choices that you can just make to get this character. And then you've got the actual two events themselves. Commander Luke, who requires some pretty simple characters to farm. You've got the New Hope characters from the 4th episode. Now, if you've got R2-D2, that's one of them. You can get Princess Leia easily through Squad Arena. You can get Stormtrooper Han also from the same location. And you can get Farm Boy Luke Skywalker from a number of areas. I believe he's in the Guild Store. He's in the very, very first area of the Cantina shipment. So he's a very, very cheap farm. And then you've got Old Ben, who's also not as ridiculously easy as the other characters, but is still easier in the long run compared to the requirements for Rey. Because Rey requires the 2 veterans. Now, those 2 can only be farmed at the moment on the level 8 Cantina for 16 energy each, which means on average you're going to be spending, if you want her this time, you will have to have been spending money or been saving crystals like crazy, which isn't very consumer friendly for a new character. So comparing these 2 branches, you've got one that's relatively easier and more beneficial because it gives you the best character in the game. And you've got a harder grind, which kind of requires you a situational branch, you know. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do this over this. I'm just saying you have to like look at this branch and pick what's best for you. And while this branch will be technically the best in terms of progression, some people may not want to run Commander Luke Skywalker. Some people want to run a Resistance squad with Rey, which is great. She's going to be amazing for them, you know. But just as soon as you get to this point, as soon as you've got Palpatine and Thrawn, then pick one of these droids. You know, you've already got 2 legendary characters, so you're not lagging behind because you're missing these 2. You're able to just focus on the First Order. You're able to get BB-8. Then you can get the rest of her requirements, which is, you know, pushing you already towards a Resistance squad. You're going to have Finn, and you're going to have the veterans. You're maybe not going to use the veterans in the squad, but it'll at least give you time to farm other characters like Poe through the Cantina shipments and stuff like that. So that's really breaking down the segments here. You know, where you're gonna start with the Phoenix and you're eventually gonna decide on the squad. So like breaking that down, always start with Palpatine. Both journeys will start with Palpatine. While he's not really needed for this branch, it's always just a great starting point to make sure that you are geared and leveled enough as a player to, you know, contribute towards these. Because I believe anyway, to do these last tiers, you need to have a level 85. Which most people will have for a while since starting. But like I said, this is the one for you. Always start with Palpatine, who is on a bi-monthly schedule. So it'll be 1 month Palpatine, 1 month Yoda. Focus on R2-D2, you know, get that squad ready. And then in the background, get your squad ready for Commander Luke Skywalker. Because while these events don't always come up, they will be, you know, after Jedi Rey fairly soon. There's going to be another Commander Luke before there's another Rey. So if you can get the buff squads required for this by getting characters like Palpatine, Thrawn, and Vader, and then getting a New Hope squad ready, then you're going to have these characters sorted, and you're going to have a good month or so to do it. And you're always going to know that R2-D2 will always appear before Commander Luke, so you don't have to worry about getting these, and then this comes out and you're not going to have this, because it will always follow in this order. This will always come before this. And it's the same with this. BB-8 will become before Rey. So there's no need to worry about being stuck in the first stage when the third stage comes out, because there will always be the middle stepping ground. So that's really sort of it, guys. I just wanted to kind of break down a sort of tier list, you know, system that you could work on. I'm just going to keep that branch open. So take some time for yourself, you know, look at these branches, decide where you want to start on the tier list. You know, you can get Grandmaster Yoda first if you really wanted to, but there's no real rush and it won't help you in the long run. So always trying to think about Palpatine, because he's the one that's going to take you, you know, he's going to take you to two of these characters, who's going to get you one of the best in the game. And that's really it. Yoda's not going to help you anywhere. But I hope you've learned something from this. It was a lot of fun to record. Been trying to like work out what order I would do things in myself, and this is what I thought would be like the most logical conclusion. There are always going to be like other events out there, but not legendary events like this. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something. I'll see you again next time. Bye.